brush it out a bit, yeah? So just so it's softer. Yeah. It's always been a love of mine to make people look and feel good. It's the beauty about hair, it grows back, right?
Yeah.
What better way to do that with my sister? She's got a lot of scars on her head and, you know, I try and fluff it up to hide things. Turn to me, please.
Oh, you want to get my makeup? I can't believe it's been 20 years already.
I know, time has gone so fast.
Yeah, definitely.
Slow but fast at the same time, I think.
This was a terrible crime story.
There's been a brutal crime in Sydney's west, a bashing, which has left an 18-year-old girl clinging to life.
Lauren Huxley was left to die in the garage of her Northmead home.
Here's this innocent 18-year-old girl who's attacked by a brute, and somehow she survived. She survived with obviously her own courage and her own determination, but a family the like of which I've never come across.
Do you remember when, back in the early days, Loz, when I used to always do your makeup to help cover up your scars?
Yeah.
Yeah. But now they're pretty amazing how much they've faded.
I think if this didn't happen to Lauren, her life today would look different. She has permanent injuries that she'll live with for the rest of her life, which she's taken with grace.
And you shouldn't be ashamed to show your scars. It shows what you've gone through.
I've accepted all my scars and all my injuries, and I'm not self-conscious. Whoever I meet along the way, I don't want them to treat me any different to anyone else because, you know, I'm just like everyone else.
You happy?
Yeah.
That'll cost you $200.
My name's Christine Huxley. I just want to clarify what's happening with Robert Black Farmer. What is his conditions for parole next year?
When I heard the monster might be released, it is a little bit of a concern and worry.
What security do you have when he's out of jail?
He nearly took my life. Oh, he nearly killed me.
You know, it's been 20 years, but you don't really ever forget. You never get over it. What happens when he has shown no remorse?
Farmer never admitted guilt, never admitted having any role in the attack on Lauren at all. He's never explained why.
If I was the parents, I'd be mortified. I'd think terribly about him getting out after what he had done to their daughter, but that's the system.
He's a career criminal. He's been in jail many times, and now here we go again. I'm 2.5, just over years older than Lauren. She was my innocent little sister, and I was always just there to protect her in any way I could from a very young age.
Simone was always the one out there, and Lauren was more quieter and more reserved and sweet, and she was very conscientious of her work at school.
I like school, and I love socialising with my friends.
Lauren and I met when we first started Year 7.
Oh, this is a really good one with Jen. I've got my arms around her.
If we were going out anywhere, we'd always go to Lauren's house first and we'd get dressed and we'd all get ready together, and then she would take like a million photos.
We had so much fun. This photo, it was just before the incident.
I actually vividly remember the day of Lauren's attack.
I was going about my day as a hairdresser in a salon. Lauren had come home from TAFE on the bus around 2 p.m, I think it was.
I used to, usually ring Lauren and make sure she was home and she was okay. But on that afternoon, I was really busy with clients, so I really didn't get a chance.
Around 4:35, I think it was, my phone was ringing out the back of the salon. And I ran to answer it and I missed it.
I get a phone call from next door, Joyce it was. She said, your house is on fire.
That day stuck with me for the last 20 years. It'll stick with me for the rest of my life. It was a hot day and over the police radio we get a call for a house fire.
Paramedic cars for a house on fire.
Okay, we got fireys on scene at this stage.
There was black smoke billowing out of the top of the roof.
Apparently the fire's in the kitchen, and as far as they're aware radio, there's nobody home.
I was sort of drawn towards the back of the property, and for whatever reason, things didn't add up. Like, there's no one home, there's a fire. There was some clothes on the washing line, and there was some clothes in the basket. As soon as I pushed that garage door open, the heat and the strong smell of petrol really was quite overwhelming.
Paramedic 14 only, go ahead.
There was petrol like everywhere. She was covered in it, she was soaked in it.
Right, I've got a female bleeding in the garage here, breathing.
Lauren was laying there. I get towards her, she's gasping for air. She's got blood all over her face and all over her top. A couple of really, really deep cuts I would put on the top of her head.
Copy, we'll get ambulance on the way, about an age, possibly 20, early 20s.
Only really the people that were involved would truly appreciate just how extreme the violence was. Her injuries were so extensive, so critical that I think it's fair to say that minutes mattered.
Sydney police say they're treating the violent assault of a teenage girl in her home as attempted murder.
I just collapsed and, you just go into deep shock. I just couldn't believe it. It was just like a bad dream.
We arrived at the emergency and then I saw Chris. I just remember her crying out, like, Lauren, she's been attacked, she's been attacked.
We were in the waiting room, had no idea what was going on, how bad she was, how injured she was or anything like that. And we were all in complete shock.
The first night I thought the brain injury was too much and she wouldn't survive. There was more than 50 fractures in her skull and face. I only gave her a 5% chance of surviving. The hospital staff had to prepare Chris, Pat and Simone that what they were about to see would be very, very traumatic for them.
They basically said, you need to come and say goodbye to her because she will not make it through the night. And I just screamed in disbelief. They begged me to go in. And I said, no. I said, if my sister dies, I want to remember her how she was this morning.
That's terrible.
She was unrecognisable. She had, her face was like swollen.
Face was out here, whole head.
Her whole head was, bashed in.
Put your finger there, and that much of your nose. That's all she had, but the face was all out here.
Yeah, it was all swollen and it was just horrible. And then she had all burn, like petrol marks on her legs and her arms.
Yeah, all I prayed for was, don't come to me. And asked me to turn it off.
Yeah. But we weren't going to do that, Pat. We weren't going to do that. We weren't going to do that. stood around in a circle and we also said the Lord's Prayer.
Then I collapsed and then my dad went down and my poor mum had to keep it together with Lauren upstairs being operated on and my dad and I in an emergency next to each other in beds on drips because we were clearly in shock.
They were like 3 days of whether she's going to make it or not, and they were the longest 3 days of our life.
She is the most beautiful girl, so innocent, and she is never confrontational. We are at a complete loss as to why anyone would hurt her.
So we had to put, obviously, it out there to get as many leads as the police could so they could do their investigation properly.
She is a very popular girl, but we certainly have no leads that would indicate who has committed this crime.
This crime scene had a real level of complexity about it. We didn't know whether we were dealing with one offender or more. We didn't know where they were.
I think they interviewed a lot of people who knew Lauren, and they were doing it thoroughly. They were working around the clock, 24/7. They did not stop.
Yeah, we had to wrap a pretty tight ring of security around Lauren from a police perspective because of that ongoing threat until we identified who it was and got them into custody.
We were kind of living in fear at that point in time because we didn't know why or what was the motivation behind this.
You were looking around at everybody and anyone. Who could do this? Is it someone we knew? The fear we had was incredible. I was constantly having panic attacks, anxiety attacks. I was in fear looking over my shoulder.
Lauren was in a coma for 23 days. So we had to be with her all the time, just so that she knew there was someone around her. They say your ears can always hear. So we just talk positive to her, encourage her.
Those early days, it was horrific. At any moment, we had in the back of our mind that she could die, but at the front of our mind was she's not going to die.
Your tea's ready, Loz, when you're ready.
As we didn't know what her future was going to be, I said to Mum and Dad, she needs to be christened.
We got the priest in and she got baptised. He blessed her and put the cross to the water, and her whole body just moved, her arms, her legs. And everyone went, and they were looking, oh my God, it was just a miracle. I just couldn't believe it.
I just burst into tears because I thought my sister's coming back. She's going to make it.
Loz, you right? Righto then, off we go.
The breakthrough came late on a Friday afternoon, and it was a DNA hit off the fuel tin lid that had been recovered from the scene. That DNA profile was identified as being consistent with a person named Robert Black Farmer. Farmer was known to police for crimes of violence. He had spent time in prison. He was on bail at the time. We were knocking on the doors of anybody and everybody who had ever come in contact with Farmer. Several days later, he turned up unannounced on the doorstep of a friend. He made a comment around the fact that he'd done something really stupid.
The day I got the call, and I said, I'm not going to answer this. It's just, I've had a hard enough day as it is. And anyway, I said, oh, bugger it, I'll take it. And I flicked it. And he said, we've got the bastard. I said, oh, mate, you beauty.
After a 3-week manhunt, police have made an arrest in the case of Lauren Huxley, the Sydney teenager bashed and left for dead in her home. Police took a 36-year-old man into custody last night.
Barefoot and dressed in shorts and a t-shirt, he appeared in court charged with 5 offences, including grievous bodily harm with intent to murder.
It was such a relief, such a relief. The fact that they got him when they did, as quick as they could, it meant that we could then focus on Lauren completely.
The train on platform 1 goes to North Sydney via Central.
When I came out of the coma, I had 3 months post-traumatic amnesia.
Doors closing.
My first memory was around Simone's birthday. I couldn't eat any cake because I was still being tube fed and they wouldn't allow me to eat any, which was so annoying for me because I love food and I love eating.
This train will stop at Marion.
She really struggled in the beginning. Things that you take for granted that are really simple to do, like swallowing. She really had to learn and teach her brain how to do those things again.
It was like seeing a baby all over, doing the small things in life and then challenging herself for the major things.
I found these things.
Right. More pictures?
Pictures, there's newspaper articles, but I found
Oh, the diary.
this diary. Dad would always sit down and he'd journal what day it was, what she was doing. The little things were like big things for us.
The 10th of December, Lauren is becoming more aware of her hair and started getting upset and letting out cries. She looks with fear in her face. She was out of intensive care and she's gone to the brain unit now. I'm in a room with doctors. I said, look, just stop there, please. I know what I got. I got a baby in arms. I said, I've got to take care of it to the end. And I said, you make her live, we'll do the rest. And
we did.
And then we did. Yeah, we got through it all right.
I've done dozens of stories over the years about families who basically look after a loved one who's been badly damaged, but this is exceptional.
Many people say to us that families can be torn apart by such tragedy. The trauma that we were going through and the fear of the unknown of what was going to happen to Lauren, it consumed me in particularly, and I started to drink to numb my pain. You know, Mum and Dad couldn't deal with me and I was breaking. Oh my gosh, remember this, Dad?
Oh, Christmas.
Yeah, the stress and tension got a bit too much for us, didn't it? We ended up in this massive argument and we were all crying in our corners and eating our Christmas lunch separately.
I said, you know, all I want for Christmas is for Lauren to say, I love you, Mum. She walked into the room and she's laying there and she opened her eyes. She recognised us and she said, Mum, I love you. It was the moment that I know I had my daughter back.
When I first met Pat and Christine, they were shattered, they were broken. They were the quintessential Aussie family. I'd actually said to my wife, I would love to document this person's recovery. But I do remember how unstable she was on her feet that first couple of times that we went into that room.
Yeah. It was incredibly intimate, wasn't it? I've never felt more like an intruder.
It was a privilege to be there and to see some of the struggles, the real struggles. The girl I met the first day was childlike, being helped to get out of a bed, being helped to sit in a wheelchair, being helped to walk. That was really, really quite hard to watch.
By the end of January, she was taking her steps and she walked past us with the physio and I went, oh my goodness, that was amazing.
There are quite a few pictures there where she's walking where you can see she's kind of lost. Like, why are all these people around me? What's going on? Why is someone holding me? But she had an inner strength that meant she fought through all of that.
I love exercise, you know, to keep fit and train my muscles and my balance. I was in a wheelchair and I remember even just walking up and down stairs. It was a lot for my body to do. As I had to learn how to talk, walk and eat at the age of 19, it was so hard going through it all.
When the investigation was initiated, the most critical witness was obviously in a fight for her life, and we knew that it was going to be some time before we could talk to Lauren. The first time that I engaged with her was over 4 months afterwards. You know, when we spoke to Lauren, we didn't know what we were going to get. As it turned out, Lauren had no memory whatsoever of what had happened to her. I then sat down and told Lauren what had happened. Lauren was confronted in the house by the offender. There was certainly evidence of some significant struggle inside the house. It's quite clear from the evidence at the scene that, you know, the real level of violence that was inflicted on Lauren occurred in the garage. She was attacked using a pair of fibro cutters. After the attack, she was doused in fuel. The offender has gone about a relatively elaborate way of trying to burn the crime scene down, burn the house down, and ultimately kill Lauren by leaving her in the fire. But one of those moments of luck that you have sometimes is that the fire went straight into the roof cavity.
I was in shock. I couldn't believe it. I'm thankful that I don't remember that traumatic experience because it would, you know, I definitely wouldn't want to ever go back there.
Farmer's true motive was never ever identified. He's never spoken to us, and that will always be a really troubling thing for the family.
For 2.5 years, they've all rebuilt Lauren's life. Mum, Dad and Simone have been a critical part of the rehab team.
Oh, you won.
I think each time she spoke and each time the family spoke to the media, it was part of their therapy. They needed to explain what had happened.
When you saw Robert Farmer in the newspapers, did you recognise him?
No,
So
not
you-
at all.
You're
He
sure that
was-
you'd never seen him before?
Yep, he was just a complete stranger to me.
A Sydney man has gone on trial over the brutal attack on teenager Lauren Huxley.
From the time of the attack on Lauren, it was almost 2.5 years before the matter finally got to trial. We're in a position where we felt we had a really strong case. We had almost 300 witnesses in total.
Lauren never came to the court case. We didn't feel the need for her to go there and have to relive that event because we didn't want anything to affect her constant healing.
Oh, it's so tough being in the same room as Farmer. I just felt so sick just looking at him.
The trial of Robert Farmer took 6 weeks, but the jury took just 3 hours to find him guilty of attempted murder.
The day of the verdict, that was the big one.
Lauren Huxley wasn't in court for the verdict. Her sister broke the news.
I just said, hey Lauren, how you going? It's guilty, guilty and guilty, so.
As he was led from the dock, Pat Huxley yelled "burn in hell" at his daughter's attacker.
On the day that he was sentenced, I said, well, it's time to bring Lauren along.
I did go, but I didn't say a word because, to tell you the truth, I didn't want the monster to know I was even there. We were pleased that he got the sentencing he did. Definitely a relief, and that I could move on with my life.
The sentence that he received was 24.5 years with 20 years non-parole. Will that ever be enough for my sister, for my family? No. He got 20 years essentially, and Lauren and my family got life.
Look, it was just a relief. I just think it was the end of our journey where we had that in the back of our minds all the time.
It was freedom.
Oh, hey, Jen. How are you? I'm well. How are you?
So good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
After the court case, life did return back to somewhat normality again, or the new norm, I guess, that what our life now was.
Thank you. Come through, ladies. Take a seat.
Thank you
so much.
So Lauren and Simone went off to America and they had the time of their life.
I was definitely excited, especially because I was 21 at that time and I was able to drink.
I feel like I already know your order.
Espresso martini, I think.
She makes the best of every moment that she can, when she can. But it has its challenges. She defied a lot of odds. She, learned how to drive a car. She's got a job at the moment. She's just grateful that she can still have these opportunities just to live a somewhat normal life.
With the job I've got now, I work in the city and I catch up with my friends for lunch or dinner or drinks after work. It's as normal as can be.
If you did apply for it, but you would let me know. As a family, and Lauren is, we're quite concerned about it at this point of time. He's coming up for parole next year in July, so he's going to be assessed then.
So they're just getting the ball rolling now so that we're informed and we can work it out from there to see if see what our rights are as well.
That is always very confronting for victims and their families, particularly in situations where there has been no remorse, there's been no contrition, there's been no acknowledgement of the suffering.
She doesn't like the fact that he'll be out again. And I think now she realises, what happened and how much she had to suffer. I think she's very wary and quite worried that, we might see him somewhere if he's around near our area.
So at least I'm retired now, so I could be here all the time, not like last time.
Lauren's an amazing auntie. Our girls, they just adore her.
They understand that something happened to their aunt, but they don't really comprehend it.
Let's go, auntie. Obviously, one day they will know, unfortunately, the full extent of it. But in the meantime, we are protecting them as much as we can, and particularly from the PTSD that, I struggle with.
I try not to think about it at all, about my incident or even what I went through, because I've simply just moved on. I don't want to go back there. The pleasure in life is doing what people say you can't do. They were wrong, and I made it. Great passes, girls. I would love to eventually marry and possibly have kids, if that happens, but let's just see what happens. I'm still here, even with all my scars and my injuries. At least I'm able to do simple things in life. Oh, got it. I'm on a roll. There's nothing stopping me now.